I see so many eyes closed right now. Let's just stay in that space. Breathing it in. Already comfortable. Now picture in your mind's eye your happy place. That place you go to de-stress, to reconnect with yourself. Maybe it's the ocean, softly rolling waves, breezes in your face. Or a mountain with broad vistas, blues and purples in the sky. Or maybe it's a sunrise or a sunset for you, where you can take in the golds, the pinks, and the purples. Go to your sacred space, whatever that is. Breathe it in. Settle into the comfort of that place. Feel it. Smell the air. Each in our own special place, alone, yet all together, connected in the greater reality of consciousness. Now feel the peace. The grace. The harmony of all that is. And know, I am peace. Breathe it in the silence. It's time now to return to this reality, gently, as you're ready, bringing peace with you. Open your eyes and affirm, today I choose peace. I radiate peace. Wow, such gratitude. As I was kind of chilling and getting ready for this morning, I picked up a book and I was actually reading about chakras. And this sentence came up. It just so speaks to what I'm about today. We are physical beings trying our best to be human during this sojourn on the planet. Isn't that cool? Yeah. But how can I find this peace in me in a world apparently full of chaos? And who among us has not experienced some kind of angst and suffering in the last year, either around our national situation, our personal situation, or maybe somebody we love is going through a tough time? So my intention today is to look at principle and how to use it to navigate life's challenges. I'd like to start by sharing a rewrite of the Daily Word from July 14 of this year. These are written by Reverend Paul Hasselbeck, and he calls them Absolute Word. He publishes them on his website, on his blog, with the permission of Daily Word. So the word for July 24 was divine order. That's a word for every day. I divinely order my life. How often have I felt disappointed when something did not work out as I had planned or hoped, only to discover a benefit I had not anticipated? Understanding that a seeming obstacle may actually be an unrecognized opportunity, I resist the temptation to wonder why the setback is happening. Instead, I center myself and align with my innate divinity so I can discern what is mine to do. I may become aware that another time would be better for pursuing my plan, or perhaps an insight will arise from what appeared to be a failure, from which I could perceive a way forward that will accomplish even greater good. I use divine order, mind, idea, manifestation, to be patient and trust in all situations. I use it to create the best outcomes. I divinely order my life. You know, looking at this, really, it's a really short, 100 words max. Look at all of the powers that we talk about all the time, our 12 powers and plus one, okay? In this little brief piece, we're reminded of our divinity. We've got discernment, wisdom, where we make, and will, because we make our choices from that. Faith, because we trust. We can trust in the ultimate reality. And we make divine order a verb, because we use these principles to divinely order how our life shows up. In the Mysteries of Genesis, Charles Fillmore says, this is hard to read, people. It's hard to read anyway, okay? It is the work of conscious recreation of his life after the pattern of the divine ideal that man gains self-dominion and becomes a citizen of the kingdom of the heavens, the inner kingdom of peace and power. That kind of says to me what we're all here for. Learning how to be conscious in this reality. Learning how to use these powers, these principles. And when we do that and we gain dominion, which is our internal power, so when we have gained dominion, then we go to the kingdom of the heavens. And what's that? It's a state of mind. It is consciousness. And thereby we live in the kingdom of peace and power. Isn't that cool? Yeah. Here's the thing. In this human experience, stuff happens. And part of our job here in Skin School is to learn how to manage, I say control, our feelings, our thoughts, our actions. It's about being conscious in consciousness. So as we remember and rekindle that divinity that is our truth, it's not just a spark, people, okay? It's the very core beingness of us. When we remember that, our true nature, our aim is to live from that divinity. No matter what the circumstances are, what's going on around us, we can take our power back. Nothing outside of yourself can take your power except as you choose it. Think about that. our powers within, and consciously or unconsciously, we make a choice. We choose where that power goes. We sacrifice our peace when we attach ourselves to a perceived disorder outside ourselves. We get caught up in the drama of a story. We get caught in the drama and go to any of 4 stumbling blocks identified in heart-centered metaphysics, again written by Reverend Dr. Paul Hasselbeck. In chapter 28, he talks about stumbling blocks. And it had this conversation. I'm part of a 12 Powers study group. And we had this conversation this week. There are really only 4 stumbling blocks that we can then turn into building blocks or opportunity. They are fear, attachment, resistance, and unforgiveness. And where are all of those things? Where do they happen? They happen outside. But we can use our principles to deal with these situations and get through and beyond. In The Meaning of Life, Viktor Frankl said, "Those who have a why to love can bear almost any how. When we're no longer able to change a situation, we're challenged to change ourselves. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom." Our power of love fuels our desire to move through any challenge. And when you look deeply, you realize it's self-love. It's also the power of life that makes us want to not only survive, but to thrive. So when we go to our spiritual practice, this is when we go. When we kind of feel that upset, we go to that spiritual practice toolbox. And we're glad we have more than one to choose from. A friend reminded me a good carpenter carries many tools. Some projects require more than a hammer, a nail, and a saw. So as I was preparing this talk, I took another look at chapter 33 in Heart-Centered Metaphysics and had a flashback to my SEE classes. It was talking about the concept of creating a metaphysical demonstration plan using that spiritual practices toolbox. I was blown away. I had no idea how I was going to manage that assignment. But apparently I did, because I'm here. Okay? And it's still an effort. If I go back to the books, as a matter of fact, I'm doing a continuing education class and I'm on the final piece of it. And I gotta go back to that darn graphic thing and figure out how to answer in the blocks. So it still challenges me. But I have to tell you, I've come a long way since that first exposure to this material. I am, and I believe you are, because you're in this place, a student of spirit. And how do I get through this human experience? So, the whole point of these studies is to be able to make practical application in everyday life so that I have a more joyful, fulfilling, love-driven life, and you do too. But I digress. Let me paint a little scene for you on how I use these tools. Actually, I do it on a fairly regular basis. I am often challenged by sleep interrupted with mind chatter. Now, I recommend that you practice on the little things, like I'm awake and I don't want to be. Okay? So practice on the little things so that when the big things come up, your tools are shiny and at hand. First, get yourself ready by cultivating some regular practices. You don't brush your teeth one time and you're done, okay? So regular practices. My go-tos, my cores, are meditation, prayer, and inspirational reading. A word about meditation. It isn't just sitting and oming for extended periods of time. And there are many ways to find your peace in consciousness. There are apps available on your phone. Calm, Insight Timer is the one I use pretty regularly. There are others. There are guided meditations. My friends, many use guided meditations on YouTube. And you can do this in as little as 3 minutes a day. Everybody's got 3 minutes a day that we can be quiet and just connect in spirit. Prayer. Prayer doesn't need to be complicated. All it takes is engaging your heart brain. Okay? Remember, we now know we have 3 nerve centers having brain cells. We've got our brain, thinking. We've got our heart, feeling. And we've got the solar plexus for intuition, that gut response. So to engage this feeling nature of love in the heart center, all we have to do, and we've done it so many times here, it used to be kind of a regular thing for us to drop that from that 14 inches from up here down from the brain into the heart area and just pull to mind somebody, something that you love. We learned about heart coherence, heart math. That's all it takes. Get that picture, hold it in your heart, feel the love. Gratitude flows from that. And prayer is really about opening the free flow of love. With intention, we direct the flow of the love energy. And by the way, that is how prayer works. Energy flows where consciousness goes. When I'm in those quiet moments, I am in that heart space, just feeling that energy expanding. What happens to me naturally is my hands go up. I feel a tingling in them. And then I start to think about people that I love, about people that I love who may be having challenges. And I just focus that energy in their direction. That's all it takes. You don't even need words. Well, inspirational reading speaks for itself. Choose material that resonates with your belief system. We all have our individualized expression of what that belief is, and they change. That's what that 13th power is about, questioning unquestioned answers. As we move through this human experience and learning, we're questioning, we change from time to time. Like I said, when I saw chapter 28 in, I don't know, maybe 2010 it might have been, it's a whole different chapter for me now because I have changed my thinking. I've changed my views. I've amped up my beliefs. So choose material that resonates with your belief system and readings that open your heart and deepen your understanding. All of these practices are based in understanding faith, a belief in a greater reality and the field of infinite potential, a knowing beyond my physical eyes of presence. Many of us call that God. For me, it is just presence. And presence is good. And since that is the core of me, I also am good. So when my peace is disturbed, I consciously bring myself to the present moment. As my friend Cher says, the present moment is my time zone. That's a really good affirmation and mantra. The present moment is my time zone. Yes. So you feel the upset, you take the breath, several deep belly breaths, so that when that breath comes in, that belly goes out, those lungs are filled in every space available, and hold that for a second, and then blow it out till the belly is pressing the backbone. That stimulates the vagus nerve, which then sets off a relaxation response. So it gets your body ready for relaxation. And then I after I've done those breaths, I do about 3 of them, and then I just breathe rhythmically. I notice it. I may notice what it feels like coming into my nose, expanding my lungs. I get into the now moment in my body. And then I feel what's around me. And I don't need to go on from there. You get the point. So, meditation, prayer, and inspirational reading are my core practices. They build a foundation to help me stay on course. And there's more in my toolbox. Gratitude. Gratitude brings me back to my happy place when I fall into the doldrums. Affirmations and releases take me out of fear. Sometimes I need a little help from a friend, and a heart-opening, realigning phone call does the trick. It's all about staying connected. When there's disconnect, there's discord. How about self-observation as a spiritual practice? I came across a podcast last week that says it in a nutshell. This is excerpted from a channeled message delivered by Susan R. Edwards. She says, when you observe, you can be mindful. When you're mindful, then you can take your power back and be powerful. When you're powerful, you can take the appropriate actions. When you take the appropriate actions at the appropriate time, then you can change your life and you can improve the conditions of the collective. You can stay embroiled in the chaos, or you can bring your focus back to peace and harmony and real, true understanding that this is just how the process works. You know what you don't want. Focus on what you do want. Nothing outside yourself holds the keys to your happiness. You hold the keys to your happiness. Spiritual practices. I'd like to close with one more absolute word from Paul. This was on April 28th of this year, and it was peace. I feel peace when I'm in the beauty around me. A clear day, flowers swaying in the breeze, a gently flowing stream, all reveal and reflect my inner nature. And I'm so glad humor's part of it. Lasting peace resides within my mind and heart. If that peace is temporarily disturbed, if I'm feeling out of sorts about my life or a situation of a dear one, I go within while drawing upon infinite principles of peace and strength. I turn away from outer circumstances. I quiet the chatter in my mind by thinking on one of the places where I feel peaceful. I remember I am innately divine and begin to feel a settling calmness. I consider my life from this higher perspective and remain centered and serene no matter what is happening in my life or in the world. I am infinite peace, and you are infinite peace. Just claim it. Thank you. Oh, it's time now for the giving and blessing of our gifts. If you will take them in your hands, get the love energy going. Whether you are here in person, whether you're on Zoom, whether you push the donate button, whatever method you use for giving, let's bless it. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God, that this is so.